In Osamis City, you're watching One TV News Channel. One TV News Channel. Serving you with information, news, sports, and public affairs. One TV News Channel. One TV News Channel. Serving you with love. Ang telebisyong pangmasa. One TV News Channel. One TV News Channel. One TV special report.
We have 7 members, Your Honor. 8 members present, Your Honor, including the Honorable Presiding Officer.
There being 8 members present of the joint committees, the Chair declares a quorum. Maayong hapon sa tanan. At the outset, I would like to thank everybody for sparing your very valuable time in coming here just to share with us your valuable inputs on this very important proposed ordinance being sponsored by the joint committees. This is a public hearing on ordinance prohibiting online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, Osaec, and child sexual abuse or exploitation materials, Osaec-Csaem, in the city of Osamis, institutionalizing programs for its prevention and eradication and providing penalties thereof, thereafter establishing a supportive environment for child victims and providing funds therefore. As a brief background, para na mo idea, ang tulo ka department sa atong gobyerno, ang DOJ, Department of Justice, ang DILG, Interior and Local Government, ug ang Supreme Court, nag-collaborate para to tackle issues, common issues, nga nakababag sa atong justice system. O aron matagad ang heinous crimes, especially against those, the vulnerable sectors of society, the helpless people, na dili kapanagang sa mga legal nga mga pabaylit silang katungod. Then, the 3 departments organized decisions throughout the country which focus on heinous crimes. Ang Osamis, we become the 16th ika-decisize ng decision together with Cagayan de Oro and Iligan. The first decision in the Philippines nga nahimo sa atong tulo ka Supreme Court, ang DOJ o ang DILG. And our decision focus on Osaec, child abuse, labi na sa online. Nya kaning ordinansa, DAP ordinance, ang legal basis ni ang atong mga national laws, ang Republic Act 7610 for the special protection of children against abuse and exploitation and discrimination. Napo atong Local Government Code, Republic Act 7160, Local Government Code of 1991. Naapod ang Republic Act 1190, Anti-Online Sexual Abuse or Exploitation of Children, and Anti-Child Sexual Abuse or Exploitation of Materials. Kaning nga malaod, nag-encourage sa mga LGUs to pass a local ordinance to localize efforts in support against the sexual abuse, labi na sa mga bata, against children. Naapod ang Republic Act 11862 or Expanded Anti-Trafficking Act of 2022. So, on September 3, 2024, ang Osamis gideklara nga special jurisdiction nag-create og decision coordinating council na ang police kay mo may mudakop sa kriminal. After that, na ang prosecution una na si Fiscal Buter o si Fiscal Sien Giang napod ang mga prosecute sa mga offenders. Then supposed to be naapod ang courts, no? We invited the courts basi mulay sila abot. We invited also the PAO kay mo kasagaran kwaon nga sa offenders na muhatag o protection to protect the rights kay even offenders have legal rights. Dahil napod ang BJMP o magkaso na piso, BJMP is part of the justice system. Kung napod ang parole or probation nga muhatag parole o probation sa nakasala under certain conditions. So, ang OZAMIZ to qualify kay nakakumply ta sa mga components nga gihatag sa Supreme Court, DOJ o DILG. Mong this ordinance came into being kay we passed an ordinance last 2024 institutionalizing the Osamis City Special Decision. Atong institutionalize o we are encouraged by the Decision Coordinating Council nga maghimo yung ordinance ang LGU to support the efforts, national efforts of government nga mapugnan good, mapawin ang online sexual abuse against children o ang mga exploitation materials. So, to begin to introduce the ordinance, I would like to read the Secretary to please read the salient points of the ordinance, beginning with Section 5, Section 6, and then Section 7, Section 8 and 9, Section 11, Section 12, and Section 21. Sir Dumanog, Landing.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you so
Kindly
much.
start with Section 5.
We start on Section 5. We leave the legal basis as enumerated by our Honorable Presiding Officer. Section 5, and those who have no copies of the proposed ordinance, tanawan lang ninyo palihog ang screen sa itong projector. Section 5, here we go. Prohibited acts ang gidili nga mga kahimuan. Section 5, please. Okay na? Okay. Section 5. The following are considered acts of online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, and it shall be unlawful for any person to commit any of the following act. 1, or letter A, online child sexual abuse material, accessing, possessing, producing, and or distributing images and or videos of child sexual abuse. B, grooming of children for sexual purposes, developing relationship with child to enable their sexual abuse and or exploitation either online or offline. Letter C, live streaming sexual abuse of children using online video applications to view and sometimes interact with sexual abuse of children live. Letter D, sextortion, coercion, and blackmailing children for sexual purposes, producing and or utilizing sexual images and or videos depicting a child for the purposes of sexual, financial, or other personal gains. And letter E, other unlawful or prohibited acts as provided under Republic Act Number 9775 or Anti-Child Pornography Act of 2009, Republic Act Number 1186-2, or the expanded Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act of 2022 and Republic Act Number 11930, or the Anti-Online Abuse and Exploitation of Children Law.
Okay. Mao to ang mga prohibited acts nga kalapasan sa balaod nga gipinalize ani nga ordinansa. More or less, pare-pareho po na siya national law. No? But we are encouraged nga maghimo og ordinansa to localize efforts sa atong syudad bahin sa atong fight against online sexual abuse. Og aron sa magamit ang impormasyon o technology sa mga barangay, sa community, nga ma-address nila ang Osaec-Csaem sa barangay level. Muna na yung mga barangay captains o barangay kagawas karon nga giibitar sa atong public hearing. Said Secretary to Section 6.
Section 6, Roles and Responsibilities of the LGUs. Therefore, appeal ini ang barangay. Letter A, monitor and regulate the establishment and operation of internet cafes and queues or similar establishments to prevent violation of the Act. Letter B, monitor and document cases of Osaec and KASYON through LSWDOs and ensure the regular submission of reports to the DSWD field offices. Letter C, effect the cancellation of licenses of establishments which violate the provisions of RA 11930 and other related laws and policies. Letter D, undertake education and information campaigns to prevent and suppress Osaec and Csaem. Letter E, assess, coordinate, and partner with social welfare development agencies in enhancing their resources or technical capabilities to implement the anti-Osaec and KASYON programs. Letter F, establish and support community-based initiatives and prevention programs that aim to educate families against Osaec and KASYON. Letter G, provide basic social services for the prevention, rescue, recovery, rehabilitation, and reintegration under the LSWDO, including aftercare support services to child victim survivors. And letter H, assist and refer families to child victim survivors for local employment, whether private or public, through the Public Employment Service Office, PASO, in coordination with DOLE as part of the reintegration programs of the government. And letter I, enact and implement ordinances to localize effort against Osaec and Csaem, taking into account local culture and norms. Coordinate with NCC, Osaec, Csaem, and DILG to ensure uniformity and consistency between local ordinances or issuances, the Act, and this IRR. Letter K, ensure the participation of Sangguniang Kabataan, SK, and the allocation of sufficient funds from SK Fund and resources for the initiatives against Osaec and Csaem at barangay level. Letter L, strengthen, activate, and mobilize existing child-focused committees, BCPs, BCPCs, LCPCs, the LCAT, the VAUCs, councils, similar organizations, and LGUs at the provincial, city, municipal, and barangay levels to prevent and suppress the Osaec-Csaem. Letter M, assess and support in the filing of cases. And coordinate with, refer, and endorse to the DSWD and/or relevant agencies of government all cases of Osaec-Csaem, depending on the child victim survivor's needs. And lastly, letter O, provide technical assistance to barangay o barangays to ensure that they also adopt local ordinances against Osaec-Csaem.
Thank you, sir.
Oh.
Section 6, dako kayo role o responsibilidad ang LGU. Aning post ordinance. Gani, ilan-regulate ang mga internet cafes and kiosks na computers. No? Kanya katong makabilit, lagmit, masuspend ang negosyo, muna nakakaroon atong BPLS, Selimwell, o ma-revoke ba ilang business permit. Dako ay importante kang role sa LGU, muna si aton ni Divitaryo, aton legal officer, na po itong budget officer, kaya muna mo hatag budget, aning ordinansa, kung naabay ikakahing na pondo, para agad ma-implementar ni ordinansa sa atong siyudad. Na po si Sir Raji Gomez, ang CSWD officer. Kay dako ay involvement ang CSWD, aning ordinansa, kaysa mahatag pagkatagad o care sa mga biktima sa online sexual abuse. Napo ito ubang advantage. No? So, sir, proceed to subsequent sections of the ordinance.
Yes, Your Honor. Section 7, mandatory service to victims of child sexual abuse or exploitation. The City Social Welfare and Development Office, CSWDO, shall ensure that the child who is a victim of any form of child sexual abuse or exploitation is provided appropriate care, custody, and support for the recovery and reintegration in accordance with existing laws. The child and his family shall be entitled to protection as well as to the rights and benefits of witnesses under Republic Act Number 6981, otherwise known as Witness Protection, Security and Benefit Act, to ensure recovery, rehabilitation, and reintegration into the mainstream of society. Concerned government agencies and barangays shall make available the following services to victims of any form of child sexual abuse or exploitation. I, emergency shelter or appropriate housing. 2, alternative family-based care like foster care and kinship care. 3rd, counseling. 4th, free legal services, which shall include information about victims' rights and the procedure for filing of complaints, claims for compensation, and such other legal remedies available to them in language understood by the child. 5, medical and/or psychological services. 6, livelihood and skills training. And 7, educational assistance. And lastly, number 8, or 8, support services to survivor empowerment, leadership development, advocacy, and participation. Sustain supervision and follow-through mechanism that will track the progress of recovery, rehabilitation, and reintegration of the child victims shall be adopted and carries out.
Yes, Section 7, nag-provide sa mandatory nga services na iprovide sa gobyerno sa victims sa sexual abuse, And we are glad that we present this also our DLG officer, Sir AJ Bidra, who is around. Gika pa niya sa biyahe, no? Hago pa niya official travel, pero tungkol sa kamtad ng ordansa, may aning siya, aron mutambong, aron makahatag siyang infos. Gani Sir AJ mo ni sige nag-fraud nako nga i-sponsor kini ordansa because he knows that this is very important, no? Di lang sa atong justice sector coordinator council sa AMES, makatabang po na sa atong mga justice system, sa mga pillars of justice system, no? Appeal and courts. So thank you, Sir Ejel, for coming. So please proceed, Sir.
Yes, Your Honor. Section 8. Appointment of legal officer to provide assistance to victim survivors. The legal officer shall be appointed to ensure that victim survivors are provided with legal services and assistance, which shall include information about child victim survivors' rights and the procedure for filing of complaints, claims for compensation, and such other legal remedies available to them in language understood by the child. Section 9, case referral. When a person has knowledge or information of facts or circumstances that a person is suspected to be a victim of Osaec or other related trafficking, or is about to be a victim of the same, he or she may immediately report the case to the following. A. The IACAT action line through 1343. Second, Makabata helping line through 1383. C. Barangay VAW desk officer. D. Members of the Local Council for the Protection of Children con LCPC. E. Members of the local committees on anti-trafficking and violence against women and their children, CAT or LCAT, and or DASA VAUC. F. CSWDO. G. Local PNP. H. Other law enforcement agencies. And I. CSOs, NGOs, and faith-based organizations. Section 10. Anti-Trafficking in Persons Database. The City of OZAMIZ through the CCAT VAUC or through LCPC shall monitor and document cases of trafficking in persons, which includes the Osaec-Csaem cases within the city. The CCAT VAUC is hereby tasked to ensure the harmonization of its database, including date requirements, definitions, reporting formats, data collection system, and data verification systems. Such database shall have, at the minimum, the following information as follows. Number of cases of TIP sorted according to the status of cases, including number of cases being investigated, submitted for prosecution, dropped, and filed pending before the courts, a number of convictions and acquittals. B. Demographic profile information on each cases or case, sex and age disaggregated, number of victims of TIP referred to agency by destination countries, areas by area of origin, sex and age disaggregated. Section 11. Responsibility of mall owners, operators, and owners or lessors of other business establishments. All mall owners, operators, and owners or lessors of other similar business establishments like hotels, resorts, others, shall notify the local PNP of the City of OZAMIZ or the NBI within 48 hours from obtaining facts and circumstances that child sexual abuse or exploitation is being committed in their premises, provided that public display or any form of child sexual abuse or exploitation within their premises is a conclusive presumption of the knowledge of the establishment's owners, operators, and owners or lessors, provided further that disputable presumption of knowledge by the owners, operators, and owners or lessors of other business establishment should know or reasonably know that a violation of this ordinance is being committed in their premises. Photo developers, information technology professionals, credit card companies, remittance centers, and banks, and any person who has direct knowledge of any form of child sexual abuse or exploitation activities shall have duty to report any suspected child abuse or exploitation materials or transactions to the proper authorities within 48 hours from discovery thereof. Section 12. Authority to regulate internet cafe or kiosk. The city shall have the authority to monitor and regulate the establishment and operation of the internet cafe or kiosk, remittance centers, or similar establishments located within the LGU to prevent violation of the provisions of this ordinance. Section 13. Programs for victims of child sexual abuse of exploitation. The city shall develop and implement the necessary programs that will prevent any form of child sexual abuse or exploitation, as well as protect, heal, and reintegrate the child into the mainstream of society. Such programs shall include, but not limited to, the following. 1. Provision of mandatory services, including counseling, free legal services, medical or psychological services, livelihood and skills training, and education assistance to the child pursuant to Section 8 of this ordinance. Sponsorship of a national research program on any form of child sexual abuse or exploitation and other acts covered by the law, and the establishment of data collection system for monitoring and evaluation purposes. Number 3, provision of necessary technical and material support services to appropriate government agencies and non-governmental organizations.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Na ay programs para sa mga victims. Pero ang nga ito, tanaw nga, naapoy ko responsibility ang mga mall owners, mga hotels. Di na negosyo sa mga internet cafe, mga kiosk, no? Basta nga na yung mga banks, remittance centers. Kaya di mag-remit ang mga customers bayad sa online sexual abuse. So, apel tanan. This responsibility is shared by all. No? Unang invite po na mga mall owners, mga bangko, mga remittance centers, even credit card companies. No? Usay, mobayad, credit card gamiton. IT professionals. So, dagan ayong musir sa responsibilidad nga ni aning sexual abuse i-report gid dayon. Kay kung di mo report, na ay corresponding responsibility nga they will be violating this ordinance. No, kunay assumption nga sila wala mo report, they might be presumed to have violated this ordinance. So manubag sila. So please proceed, Secretary.
Yes, Your Honor. Section 14, multidisciplinary case management. And then Section 15, it's about training. Section 17, establishment of healthy and child-friendly space. And we directly go to Section 21, the penalties. Without prejudice to penalties and fines as may be provided by other relevant laws, the following penalties for violations of any provisions of the ordinance are hereby imposed as follows. A. First offense. The offender violating the ordinance shall be penalized with a fine of 3,000 pesos and undergo mandatory Osaec seminar. B. Second offense. The offender violation the ordinance or the second offense. The offender who violates the ordinance shall be penalized with a fine of 4,000 pesos and undergo mandatory Osaec seminar. And letter C, third offense. The offender violating the ordinance shall be penalized with a fine of 5,000 pesos and will undergo mandatory Osaec seminar and imprisonment. Business establishments found to have violated any of the provisions of this ordinance shall be subjected to suspension, first and second offense, or revocation, third offense, and more, of business permits. In cases when any provision of this ordinance is violated by any government agency, the office of the or instrumentality or any government employee shall be proceeding administratively. This ordinance shall not preclude the prosecution of a case under Republic Act number 11930 or the Anti-Osaec Law by the Department of National Justice, National Prosecution Office, which shall have control over whether to file an Osaec offense under this ordinance or the law. It should be noted, however, that Section 21 of Article 3 of the Philippine Constitution states that if an act is punished by a law and an ordinance, conviction or acquittal under either shall constitute a bar to another prosecution of the same act.
So okay, kining section na 21, muna na-provide sa penalties. So very important na adri ang penalties for the violation of this ordinance. Di ini pasabot nga kung nakabilit ka ang ordinansa, di na ka prosecute sa fiscal sa national law. Kabilit na sa law, kabilit sa ordinance. So pwede ka prosecute sa national law, pwede po ka prosecute sa ordinance. Lahi-lahi man ang source, authority sa pag-prosecute. Pa sa LTO ba? Kabilit sa LTO, kabilit sa ordinance sa LGO, bayad kag 100 sa LGO sa ticketing, sa LTO bayad kag 2,000 dako ilang penalty. Pero sa ordinance nga mubo ra penalty, local ordinance. So kining violation sa ordinance nato di ni pasabot nga di na ka pwede filean sa fiscal sa violation mo sa national law nga anti-Osaec ordinance. Republic Act 11930. Please read Secretary 22, Section 22 on funding.
Yes, Your Honor. Section 22 funding. A minimum annual amount of 500,000 pesos shall be allocated for the expenses for the implementation of this ordinance. The operation and activities of the Council and establishment of the LCPRC shall be considered as related to gender and development projects of the city, and funding therefore shall be part of the 5% Gender and Development Fund for every year. The funding, however, shall not be limited to the above-mentioned source for so long as other sources may be available as permitted by law. Partnership with NGOs, CSOs, and private enterprises, individuals, is encouraged for the implementation of this ordinance. These are the salient features, Your Honor, of this ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am Milda, Budget Officer, I will ask from you later on to comment on this section nito on the funding. Kaya it's very important na natin funding sa ordinansa. So, basta na makita niyo mo sa possible source of funds nga apuban sa ito, Mayor. So, I will ask your input later on, ma'am. So, the other sections are more on administrative, repaying clause, severability clause, and effectivity. So, this ordinance already approved on the proceeding last March 10 na isudyapan niya sa mga konsyal sa nagkalak public hearing because we need your inputs. Aside from the fact that we're required by law nga magkalak public hearing, kaya nang manggoy penalty, close, no? Na penalty nga 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 for the third offense, pwede po ma-suspend o ma-revoke ang sisa sa negosyo. Kung naibilisan ni Ordinance, so we need to have public hearing. Para ang balutan ng katawan, di lang mga stakeholders, tanang tao sa OZAMIZ, makibaluan ng Ordinance. Which is required by law. So, I hope you are now well apprised of this ordinance, mga importanteng pictures, especially barangay officials, nga you are given the responsibility to monitor mga unang abuse yung barangay. Sa Lakpan, as barangay, mag-internet na yung bata nga ilang ipakita, no? Nalaw ay kaya mga gibahin mo sa mga bata. Kanigod ang i-report doon sa atong mga persons nga authorized by law, ayun sa nga muhatag pagtagal doon sa atong basis sa balaod. Naade sa section 9, section 9. Report niya sa kaasa. Pwede ka sa CSWD, Nasir Raji, no? So, we also be aware of this important pictures of this ordinance kaya na-involve ni Tanan, no? To protect our children against sexual abuse. So now, may I ask the initial comment from our DLG officer, our beloved officer of DLG, nga mogi nangusog nga ma-sponsor nila sa City Council ni Ordinansa. Si AJ Bidra, may we ask your initial comments on this. Can they provide a table and microphone for Sir Ejel? Later also, we'll ask the police kung sa inyong inputs nga ikahatag ba yung ordinansa kay appeal man ang police sa enforcement. No? Later on, I will ask you, ma'am and sir. Sir Ejel, you may proceed.
Yes, daghang kayong salamat, Honorable Presiding Officer, Dad Attorney Mars Tapayan, and of course, members sa City Council at mga gwapa nga mga legislator, visitors, friends, of course, kanya mga amigo din nga puros naka-orange, legal counsel and members of the GACC. Special mention din si Fiscal Butter, sir. Fiscal. Mori ikaw na kung dailhan din membro sa GACC. Of course, napo din si attorney bagong attorney, Sis Major Villas. First, again, ako ning i-reiterate nga tinod giingon ni Dad Mars nga sige kog push nga ato na ni siyang institutionalize or i-enact ang ordinance on anti-Osaec-Csaem. So, well discussed sa atong Secretary sa SP, si Sir Nanding, and I hope nakasabot ang tanan, no? Una na akong maybe it's not a comment, but in addition sa atong proposed ka ordinance, naamantay established nga Justice Sector Coordinating Council sa OZAMIZ City, tungod kay na Tri-City Justice Zone man ta, no? Fiscal, kabalo si Fiscal ana, kaya ang ilang office actually headed by kuan man Judge Potoy Monte de Ramos, no? It was launched last year, September man siguro to, if I'm
September
not
3. September 3.
September 3, na-launch ang Justice Sector Coordinating Council, composed of different national agencies and CSOs, also the LGUs. Pero sa atong ordinance nga gibasa ni Sir Nanding, it so happened na murag walay participation ang atong GSCC, no? Diri sa section 22 sa funding, ako pug gamay i-correction Sir Nanding nga dili ni siya LCPRC, no? Kundi Local Council for the Protection of Children, which is LCPC. Yes kana. Actually, ang atong LCPC, para mahibalaan po sa uban, Local Council for the Protection of Children, Sa city is City Council for the Protection of Children. Sa barangay is Barangay Council for the Protection of Children. Natay 1% nga mandatory allocation. So, pwede nga dito na ito kwaon. And aside from that, gi-emphasize po diri sa atong proposed ordinance ang 5% GAD. No? Pwede po tamukuha dito. And for the information sa tanan, ang atong Tri-City or Justice City Justice Sector Coordinating Council, ang main objective sa council, for the information of everyone, is to assist the victims from start to finish. And there is atong ordinance, wala nato na siguro it's high time karon mo nang naadiri karon atong members sa GICC para ilang ma-emphasize or pwede madugang ang ilang role or roles as partner in GAs or council. Dili man ni siya sa parallel man gud ni sa local government o sa national government. So actually appeal na po ang DILG ani, ang Supreme Court, ang Justice Department of Justice and LGU, no. So in order nga mahatagan nato og mas more effective ang realization or implementation sa maong nga ordinance, I would suggest, Mr. Chair, Honorable Chair, with the presence of the GSCC members, basig na sila ikadugang nga function, ibutang na to as section of the ordinance, aron ma-incorporate nato sa atong pag-craft ani nga ordinance. Kay I know for sure nga ang atong GSCC sa OZAMIZ na sila objectives, na sila programs, na sila trainings, and na sila even budget sa implementation sa ilang programs and projects. So aron ma-harmonize ang atong implementation sa anti-Osaec-Csaem, why not? No, i-appeal na lang nato diri mga members sa GSCC, appeal po ko, no. So with my motion siguro i-appeal nato ang participation, no, sa GSCC diri sa atong ordinance. Kay actually usagid po ko sa nag-craft ani nga ordinance with the help of that Mars para ma-realize ni siya. Last year pa punto na no. Then ginahanglan po ni sa office sa DILG, sige namin gidukdok ani nga OZAMIZ kamo na lang walay ordinance sa atay Osaec, no. So sige kog follow up kang dad until karon na realize. So ako sigurong motion, no, as a member pod sa GSCC nga i-incorporate nato ang function sa GSCC diri sa atong ordinance aron naatay more or less kanang klaro nga tasking or delineation of responsibilities and roles nga which is naa naman diri ang ang LGU, wala gani ang DILG and other national government agencies. So sa section unsa tong role sa LGU diri, sige mabutang po siguro nato sa other section ang role sa GSCC aron natay harmonization sa functions and kanang dili mag-overlap atong functions kay aron magtinabangay butan natay budget diri sir, fiscal, no. Murag nag-allocate, if I remember it right, nag-allocate ang LGU og certain amount para ihatag sa GSCC sa ilang implementation sa programs and projects, and as far as anti-Osaec-Csaem is concerned. That would be all. Thank you so much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Sir Ejil.